Aloha. With this video, I wanted to do a kind of like a summary or an overview of the last video. But in my eyes, like how I'm feeling, it's more like an emphasis of the video to speak on the disconnect that certain people have. Because there is a certain group of people that have in them not a desire, beyond a desire. It's like a spiritual responsibility, an ancestral responsibility to make known every single detail within the timelines that have added up to the mistakes of the present moment, so that we will not repeat those mistakes. This is why the ancestors made all of these that like told all these stories to their descendants so that they wouldn't. This is what wisdom is. So there's a certain group of people that hold that spirit alive, and then there's another group of people that build their universe on top of that, those memories not being non-existent. This is what I'm saying. This is why I say it's so important to differentiate between to break that whole human like code, that whole human limitation program, the same as love. See, it's an out for people. That's what it is. It's an out. As soon as you get to your ancestral breakdowns of how things are fucked up, and you get to the point of, piecing things together to where the system starts to make sense for what it's doing. Like there's a purpose. As soon as you get there, like there's a response. Oh, you're bad. You're angry. You're divisive. And then, the topic gets missed because they change the subject. They change the subject from the macro to the micro. So you're talking about the macro, and then all of a sudden they change the subject to back to you. Oh, you're this, you're this. I'm like, wait a second. Stop changing the subject. We're not talking about like the micro involvement. I didn't create white supremacy. I didn't invent, white privilege and gentrification and eugenics and redlining and the Homestead Act and the head right system. I didn't invent all of these programs, but these programs were definitely invented. They were created for a particular purpose, for a particular people, by a particular people, against another particular type of people. This is the point. These are the points that are being ignored by certain demographics of people. When I'm talking about that demographic of people, yes, it is conscious. It is mostly non-physical. Like white is mostly non-physical because it's mostly psychological. But you cannot ignore the use of white for a particular kind of people and the privilege that goes to a particular kind of people when you have the psychological, spiritual, and physical program of racism, white supremacy. So this is what I'm talking about. There is an actual parasite, or you can call it a disease, you can call it a cancer, whatever you want to call it. But what it's doing is actually taking the thought processes of certain individuals and making them disappear. So this is giving a little bit of credit to people saying that they have the potential to comprehend this information, but it's their disease that's keeping them from actually doing it. So what I'm saying is that the disease is the so-called civilization that we understand today, that we're living in today. It's this white noise disease that is focusing all of your history on white noise, focusing on your present moment on white noise, focusing all of your future on white noise, focusing your cosmology on white noise, focusing your education on white noise, focusing your politics on white noise, focusing your food on white noise, focusing your your fears on white noise. This is your asteroids, your global warming, your terrorist attacks, your false flags. This is all white noise. It's all coming from the Western establishment to keep the Western establishment afloat. What I'm saying is that it goes far beyond that. It goes into the realms of noise. In this realm, white was used as a noise. In another realm, it could be green that was used as a noise. Who knows what kind of beings are in other like little things. But in this space, when you don't get distracted by the distractions created by the white noise of aliens and we're all human and extraterrestrials or this and that and we're all one and all that other stuff. When you get out of kindergarten and you stop spouting off the empty bullshit that has been delivered to you by the system to keep you quiet. Like, look at the internet. Let's look at the intention of the internet. The internet has been running for like what, 12, 13 years now? Like solid. It's been, I remember I was in the beginning, I was in a computer academy in my high school when it started up, a year after the law academy. And then a freshman was law academy, and then computer academy opened up. Then they needed people in computer academy. That was my sophomore year in high school, and it was brand new. So they needed people. So they picked some of the kids out of the other academies that they thought would, thrive in the computer academy. I was one of them. And that was in my sophomore year, and stayed in there for the rest of the years after that. Point is that it's relatively new in relation to the human storyline, or the human storyline, the timeline of what's been happening up until this moment. It's like a few decades ago, So, point is, it's relatively new. So you can analyze it. It's not that new to where you can't analyze it anymore. So as far as analyzing it as far as, all right, well, what has the internet accomplished since it started? Has it been for the people, or has it been only really overall, like percentage-wise, for the system? It's been for the system. Look at what YouTube is today. Now go to the extreme of what it actually is. What is it doing? So it has created this atmosphere that pretty much takes over people's lives. Children can't put the phone down. Adults can't put the phone down. Businesses are attached to the internet, the phone. All of your intelligence, excuse me, comes from the phone. Your so-called intelligence, all your education, all your fun, your connection to your family, like it's taken over your entire life. So basically technology has taken over your interactions in this realm, from a child all the way up to a senior citizen now. So what has it done on that's the hardware part. Now, what has the software done to the software of our experience? It's done the same thing. It's taken it over from every single perspective. Now, the thing is with the software is the software has a lasting effect. You can always get rid of the hardware. And in fact, in order to get rid of the software, you have to get rid of the hardware first. So the hardware is easy to see because you're constantly, like, subconsciously your body is just picking the phone up and doing stuff when you're not even really thinking about it, because that's the side effect to this game that's being played. But software program wise, like what has, like, social media is a software program in the internet, or hardware of the internet, or whatever that is. So what has social media done? It's done the same thing. It's broken families. It's under the guise of unifying and connecting people. It's actually fucked everything up. And people still defend it. So this is what I'm saying. The same way people defend the internet and social media is the same way people are defending the white noise of civilization. So everything that is a so-called perk from this so-called civilization is a reason why people can't talk about it. So Owen Benjamin verbally said, I can't talk about, eugenics. I can't really, address, the origins of that stuff. Same way Jesse Spot says, I can't talk about Western civilization. They don't think anything's wrong. Nothing is wrong for them because they're fine. They might see things that are wrong overall, so they have a glimpse, they have a window into the macro scale. They can observe that things are wrong, but for them, they don't really think anything is wrong. Like, everything is perfectly okay. So the system doesn't need to change. It's the people that need to change. So people like Jesse Spots and Owen Benjamin are actually saying, nothing's wrong with the system. It's you fucked up people who don't have Jesus in your life. It's you fucked up people who don't have, the right morals and values that are the American way in life, that you haven't submitted to the American dream. You haven't submitted to the ways things are supposed to be in the Western world. So you are the problem. Black people are the problem in this white noise world. You haven't submitted to the white Jesus. You haven't submitted to the white noise religion. You haven't submitted to the white noise civilization. You are the problem. So what I'm saying is that this program, see it as like a literal block. There's a people, there's a whole race of people. You can call it a race of people that are connected to the land, and they can observe, they can see how people have been disconnected from the land in every way, physically, psychologically, and spiritually. Now, what I'm saying is that on a macro scale, you can ball that up into one individual. And is that going to mean that they're completely disconnected? Absolutely not. That just means that interactively in this experience, their connections to that realm really don't matter. Their connections to the machine realm are the only things that matter. So on the whole, what did the machine use? What people did the machine use to get the whole mass of people to believe, act, and think the same way that the machine wants them to, and that the machine thinks? The people that were used were the so-called white people. Why? Why specifically were white people used? Maybe they have a predisposition to the material realm. Maybe for whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe they were created that way, because it's not a thing. Like, it's not a universal thing to, follow scientists, these scientism scientists. It's not a universal thing, like blindly. It's not a universal thing to just not question your reality and only follow authority. That's not a universal thing. In fact, that's a universal thing for slaves. That's a universal thing for people who have been broken. So so-called white people have, maybe it's dealing with their sensitivities in some kind of way, in the way they are, where maybe it's a balance to their sensitivities are balanced with their extreme need to dominate and conquer everything. So you have these people who are grown out in whatever kind of way of that dominate and conquer sort of mentality or consciousness, and are now living in the overly sensitive consciousness because they went from one extreme to another, and then they think that's their healing. That's what they're supposed to do. And since they did that and they are the kings and gods of the world, they think everybody else should just do that. So this is the New Age mentality. This is what the New Age community has been doing and is doing to the rest of the world. So the white noise of the way we should have been back in the day, which was like the frontier times and the medieval times and the king and queens, they were telling us the same way. This is how you should live. This is the only way you should live. The king and queen got everything. They own everything. They will conquer your land. They will kill your people. They're the smartest people. So they weren't in their golden years of conquer phase. Now they're coming down and they're getting their shit taken away because they're getting seen for what's going on. And now in these days, we're like, no. So now they go from that to the overly sensitive. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. We're just the nicest people in the world. We're just trying to take care of everybody. Check out this video where this lady was getting kicked off in the airplane because she was complaining about a baby. She was all entitled because she works for the governor or something like that. And she's like, excuse me, I need to find another seat. You need to move me to another seat. And then the lady's like, what's wrong? What's going on? Well, this baby just won't stop crying. And then the lady's like, we can't move you now. You're stuck in this seat. And the lady says, what's your name? I need your full name. You're not going to have a job tomorrow. So that's the authority. That's the entitlement that these fucking people have, that, you know, will destroy an entire, she doesn't know if that lady has babies and kids. She just doesn't care. She'll ruin her whole fucking life. She'll make her lose her job. If she truly had the power, she'd push that button just so she can get her funky ass into another seat away from this baby, because she's so like entitled. So anyway, self-important. Again, so she'll destroy that lady's whole life the same way colonialism will destroy the whole fucking world so it can look like a god and a king. So that lady, as soon as that lady was now hit back, the lady, the flight attendant said, I want this lady off my flight right now. What did the lady do? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I was just angry because the baby was crying. I'm so sorry. I don't kick me off the plane. I have to work tomorrow. I have so many things to do. I'm so important. Your dumb ass your fucking asshole ass wasn't important when you see what I'm saying? Before they were the authority, the kings of the world, where did she get that authority? Where did she get that fucking authority to think that she could destroy that lady's life? She got that authority from the system of racism, white supremacy. It didn't come from God. It came from the God of racism, white supremacy. That same authority that lady thought she had to destroy that lady's life is the same authority that white people have to destroy the lives of the entire fucking world of other people around the world. And what I'm saying is that since that authority has been living for so long inside the people for generations upon generations upon generations, it developed into this sort of thing that can't even comprehend. It can't even conceive that the world needs to like go start over in reference to the shit that it had fucked up. So it can't look at the shit that it fucked up. It can't look at this because it'll start to look at how fucked up it is right now. You know how people like addicted people, they can't, like the first step of addiction is like acknowledging that you have an addiction or whatever it is. But you know, they can't even do that. They're not, that's why this 12-step program in the whole spirituality world, the 12-step program being pumped by Russell Brand is such a big like attraction. Because the main group of people that need healing are the so-called white people subjected to the white noise of racism, white supremacy. So the easiest thing for them, they need steps because they don't have any true cultural thing. They need steps created by, you know, some kind of Alcoholics Anonymous addiction program. So that's why Russell Brand, he's the 1, 2, 3s. And like all the other people who are in that, largely a lot of the people in the New Age program, a lot of them have had addiction problems. So, I mean, it's like for everybody, but concentrated in that area because they stay in there and then they become addicted to the New Age the same way white people, so-called white people, become addicted to the colonial world. So the people of this world have become addicted to the colonial world and they're existing in some kind of white noise Stockholm syndrome where they are loving their oppressor. So they're this sadists, these sadomasochistic people who are like in this S&M relationship with their slave owners. They're okay with it because they've been cool with it because they haven't been the ones that have been whipped to death. They've just been whipped to... They've been whipped to where it hurts so good for them. Like they've been whipped like, ooh, like it's like, ow, but that feels kind of good. Where other people have been whipped to death, it's like, and they're like, what? You don't like this? What do you mean? This is for your benefit. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're not whipping you like us. You haven't been whipped into oblivion. You haven't been whipped into genocide, whipped off of the fucking, you haven't had a race of people. There's only been one type of people who's went around the world and has whipped and enslaved people into extinction. It's been so-called white people. There hasn't been a race of people or ethnicity of people who found it in their, they found it. It's their responsibility. They taking it on as a responsibility to go around the world. Now they're taking this responsibility and saying that it's your responsibility now. It's your responsibility to enforce their authority, their rule over the rest of the world. That's what that whole idea of we're all human, we're all one, the new world order is. That's the psychology of it. That's why all these fucking people driving around with coexist bumper stickers. You might as well have a new world order bumper sticker on your car. So you have to ask yourself, what is wrong? What's going on here? What's the disease? What are the side effects to the disease? Who is it affecting? That's what I was trying to do with that video, is to expand about what's going on. Look at the top right corner, the black on black consciousness. See, this is how it's affected so-called black people. This is the system of white noise gets into it. It has a black code, so-called black coding. So that black coding involves BET, Black History Month, so-called black people who love technology, so-called black people who are they're privileged. So the black people in Hollywood are experiencing the privileges of so-called white people. This is why they don't say anything. This is why I say they're paid millions and millions of dollars, because not because they are super talented. They're paid millions and millions of dollars because that is hush money, because they are super influential. Once their lackeys are used to share that storyline to the masses, to keep the mass of people sick, and they take an agreement for themselves to not be sick. And in doing that, in signing that contract states you better not say a fucking word about this. If you say any word about this, your privileges will be taken away from you immediately. Okay? Sign here. That's what they mean by signing your life away to the devil. You're signing your life away. You're signing your soul away to the silence of not speaking about the realities of this realm. That's what signing your soul away to the devil is. Because your soul is what? Experiencing this realm through time. And you have multiple opportunities to address this so-called devil over time with the essence of your soul. But if you have sold your soul to the devil, your devil owns your soul, which means this realm owns your soul. So if you allow the realm to own your soul, then you are no longer the caretaker of your reality. So your reality will be dictated by the gods who now have authority over the contract that you've signed away for your soul. And what I'm saying is that it seems to me that if one person can sign their life away to a soul, what makes you think that an entire so-called race of people can't sign their lives away to a soul to get something back over time? They sign their rights of the soul away to a god. Who's to say that? That makes sense to me. This is what I was trying to break down in that whole video. So it's not just something that happened. No, so-called white people have signed their lives away on a contract they put up, and this is a literal thing. They've put our lives up on lien. Like this is what's happening in the maritime admiralty system. They're perfectly okay with selling our souls with the birth certificate program, the social security number, the maritime admiralty system, the prison industrial complex, the military industrial complex. They put our souls up on the chopping block so that their souls can live comfortably in this realm. And the only thing they have to do is stay quiet about the situation that allows that system to keep going. So what has the internet done to help that program go? Well, the internet, since its infestation, created a distraction program. It created this idea of information that is totally focused on keeping you away from the information that removes that parasite from your reality. It's focused all of its information on the machine stream consciousness, the machine stream information, the mainstream media. That's what the internet has done as a whole. The social media, the sports, the Yahoo. Look at the name of the Yahoo. Your Yahoo information, your Google, your YouTube. Look at what YouTube is doing now. The information coming through YouTube right now is being manipulated. To do what? This is the thing. People are crying left and right about how YouTube is manipulating, but see what it is manipulating. It's manipulating towards the mainstream media. Well, what is the mainstream media? The mainstream media is the mouthpiece for the system of so-called racist, the system of racism and white supremacy. Why? Why is it that? Well, there's so many reasons why. Point is, there is a certain demographic of people that are existing at the expense of other people. And that expense is the same way the government exists at the expense, or the colonial program exists at the expense of nature and the people and so on and so forth. So the kids, the babies, the descendants of, so this is what I'm saying, the descendants of Western civilization, so-called civilization, are the so-called white people. The language that they speak is white noise. They don't speak English. They speak white noise. Their language itself is a white noise. English is not our language. And look how simple English is. Now look at English as a weapon to dumb you down, to dumb down your internal, like your firing neurons firing off, and your electrical signals in your brain and in your soul. They're not firing off because you're not using the right words. And words are magic. So if you don't have the right words to speak, you're speaking the wrong kind of magic. And when you don't know what magic is, then you will be subjected to people who do know what magic is. So the so-called white people have been introduced to magic. And what they did was they said, oh, there's some things you don't do with certain magics. Like if you play it, like if you understand, this is why they have this so-called karma connected to them. They did things with magic that other people who are connected to nature would not do. They've done things with nature that other people who are still connected to nature will not do. And there are side effects to that when that happens. And you cannot run away from that shit. It will come back. Especially if you spend your entire existence trying to defend and hide the fact that that shit has been existing. So this white noise that is pumped through the mainstream media constantly is a disease that is affecting us, that has been affecting us for generations. And what I'm saying, what I've been saying in the last video is that the white noise is a static to keep you from truly expanding and evolving your consciousness, to steal enough time to keep you in that for long enough so that the machine realm can evolve itself through your ignorance, through the ignorance of your consciousness, through you wasting your time. So you're sitting here looking at a TV going, waiting for the signal to come on, waiting for the people who are in charge of the TV to turn the signal on, yelling at the TV to change the channel, pointing at the TV saying, you're better than this. You should be changing, TV. And then everybody else is looking at these fucking sick ass people like, why the fuck are you staring at a TV waiting and hoping for that to change? Why is that TV your life? Why is that white noise of the machine stream media your life? Why is anything that you're doing in your reality relating to that thing. And I use that as an example of so-called Western civilization and the consciousness that comes along with colonizing the entire world. So this is what I'm saying. The internet has not only done that, but it's created this atmosphere of entitlement through subscribers, where you have now so-called white people who have made their money off of white noise on so-called white YouTube. And now they have this sense of entitlement to where they can now shut other people down the same way the mainstream media does. So the mainstream media puts on TV in February, so-called Black History Month. They say, hey, this is what you people should be listening to. Black people are cool. Hey, right? Yeah. For a whole month. And then you got these black people with white noise consciousness who are like, yup, that's our people. Yup, we did that. Yup, Black History Month, bitches. Yup, all proud of their white noise Black History Month. Their white noise Black history. This is the pride. So this is the side effect of people who are so like sensitive in another way, believe in the system, believe in people. They'll just follow along and like what's the word, like a child would follow somebody else innocently. They just innocently think like, oh yeah, they wouldn't do such a thing. They wouldn't feed my babies to alligators. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't outlaw laughter. This is another thing that I found was outlawed, and why, you know, noise and voice and communication is so important. I don't know if a lot of anybody have heard of the little toy called a barrel of laughs. Well, that was actually an invention that came from a true story. The barrel of laughs was a real thing because what happens with the slave masters outlawed laughter the same way they outlawed the drum, because laughter is an intelligence the same way the drum is an intelligence, and it's a unifying thing too. So what happened was, since the slave masters banned laughing, the slaves created a barrel that they could laugh in. So they would go stick their heads. They needed to laugh really hard. They go into that barrel and just laugh so nobody else could hear them. How fucking sad is that? Like this psychology, these inventions have not even been analyzed by the so-called psychologists of the whole world, like the Western intelligence. Like, why aren't white truthers talking about the psychology of the truth that comes from the side effects of that shit? See, this is why I said the internet, the truther community, the so-called conscious community, the new age community, all of this is white noise. It's all a benefit towards distracting you from the macro scene. Like I was saying before, overall, what has the internet done? It's created this sense of entitlement for a certain group of people, not like specific, like all these other people, like the entitlement that people like Instagram comedians have, that like totally not funny. And then moving up, they get like this fake evolution. Like they get this fake, so they're fake funny on Instagram and they get fake followers, and they have a lot of young followers too, but you know, that's fake too, because it's just, you know, they can make up anything. Point is, they get synthetically promoted through Instagram, and then they get synthetically promoted on YouTube. So they have millions and millions of people, just the same way they take away subscribers of people who are talking about information like that's on this channel. Well, they give millions and millions of subscribers to people they want to distract you with. It's the same thing. So they have this inorganic being that is being pumped through the consciousness of people. Why? This inorganic consciousness that is being pumped through the system. Why? And what are they wanting you to think about all the time? Love, unity, no diversity. We're all human. There's nothing important about your culture and your ethnicity. It's not pertinent to connect to your ancestors. That's what white people are saying. when so-called white people say, you know, why are you talking about colonialism? Why are you talking about, because that's the fucking truth, you asshole. You call yourself a truther. Colonialism and racism, white supremacy is a truth that we, our people, are still having to deal with every fucking day. And if you saw it, you'd be seeing that you are dealing with this shit too. But they don't see it because they don't speak our language. They speak white noise. So if you're speaking your language about what's going on with your people, which is the mirror image of what of what happened to the people around the world, you're speaking a completely different language. You're not speaking the language that the machines are able to comprehend. You're speaking the language of the land. You're not speaking the language of the machines. And when you speak natural language to machine-minded people, they will demonize you. They will call you divisive, racist. They will call you wrong. They will say something's wrong with you. Meanwhile, they will never defend, they will never realize how they are defending this parasitic, cancerous system. And they will never address it. And a lot of people will not see them for that, you know, being that way and doing that thing because they are hidden underneath the authority. Like when black people tuck their tail in front of white people and they just submit to their intelligence or whatever is perceived to be intelligence that comes from their authority of, no, this is how we need to do it. Sit your little brown, simple self down and let the white man come in and describe how we should dictate things. This is what President Trump and, you know, the whole political scene in the White House represents. It represents the White House itself is like I said, they need evolution. This is why Joe Rogan pushes evolution, because he's a political pundit. He's a political he's a pusher of Western politics when he pushes the monkey evolution thing, because the White House in the monkey evolution consciousness is the evolutionary peak of their reality. That's what the White House is. So when you have people like Jesse Spotts and Owen Benjamin defending the Western so-called civilization, they're defending their monkey-minded synthetic version of reality. And just because they are like have a bunch of views on YouTube, people who are subjected, who are still like anchored in the machine-minded consciousness, they think what they're saying is actually more important just because the numbers are there. The same way people think that, you know, something is important because Ashley Judd said it, or fucking Celine Dion, or Scarlett Johansson, or any of these fucking assholes out there. Like, as soon as they say something, oh, you better sit your ass down and pay attention. But if any other shade of person that's closer to the earth shade, anybody else that's earth shaded, like darker, oh fuck no, you know, their education doesn't matter anymore. So the so-called white people with this white noise have cataloged everybody, and in that cataloging of everybody, they've dictated the consciousness of how you're supposed to interact with those people. And in that cataloging of Asian people, like they're smart, and then black people, they're dumb and athletic, and then, you know, Mexican people, they work hard and they're wetbacks, so they sweat a lot. They will see how clever they are, like that whole thing. So in their cataloging of the whole world and spreading that on the Machinestream media around the whole world, they have shut down your original people's connections to who you are right now. So boom, that's how you have been psychologically shut down. There's a blanket that had been placed over you because your Asianness only relates to how good at math you are. And your blackness only relates to, see, you don't even have a fucking place. You're just black. At least Asians have Asian. Black people don't have, where is black Asia? You don't have that. You know, where's Black Erica? You know, this is America. So, but you're black, so that's the dream within a dream. So anyway, black people are good at sports. White people are, I don't know, some bullshit, but you know what I'm saying. So, everybody has something, but white people are good at what? White people are good at conquering and controlling and leading things. That's what they say. This is a phrase, a saying in, I think in the UK, where British people say born to lead. They're born to lead. Some shit like that. It was a quote in a movie. What was that movie? A Good Year, where Russell Crowe says that to his friend real quick. It was just like they're just joking about how the privilege of white people. Born to lead. That whole thing. They think that shit. They really think that. So that's what gives so-called white people the pass, the okay, the permission to conquer the whole world, because they subconsciously believe that they are the conquerors. That's why they have to pump that whole Viking shit out there all the time. They don't have any connections to the Nordic people at all. They don't know anything, but they will put it on TV because it's a glimmer of something that resembles something that is natural and connected to you, or it's something ancient. They hold on to the Nordic, and that's why Thor is a superhuman, a superhero. He's a god. Focus on all the superheroes. Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, the Black Widow, the Hulk, all white people. Focus on all of them and their superpowers. And you only have a little sprinkle, a little dusting, a little Don Cheadle here and there, but he's just a machine. He's just a regular ass person with machines like Iron Man. So he ain't a real one. Just like Batman ain't a real superhero either. He's just a superhero because he says he's a superhero. Or he's lumped in with everybody. Same like Captain America, same shit. They ain't real shit. But because they're grouped in with everybody, they are. So, yeah, there's a little dusting of people here, but who is the main superhero? It's white people. So whatever they're talking about is also super intelligence, super information. So the super information that comes from white people about Asian people is that they're good at math. The super information that comes about black people is that they're good at athletics. The super information that comes with Mexican people is that they're good at working. The super information that comes with Indian people is that they're good at, computers and technology and all that other stuff. So you see what I'm saying? They've cataloged everybody. But what have they cataloged themselves for? Leadership, control, dominance. So the white people are good at conquering, and dominating, and that's what they don't say that like they say, Asian people are education. Well, they don't say anything. They don't catalog white people at all. They don't. It's a thing. It's accepted. It's cool. It's funny. It's comedic to call to say that an Asian person is good at math and white people are dumb at math, or they're not. They don't even say that. They say they're one step under Asian people, and then black people are under them. So they have their IQ statistics that in their scientism community that dictate the consciousness of how you're supposed to think about yourself. So you have babies who are coming up through school who are being told subconsciously that they will never be as smart as an Asian person. They will never be as smart as a so-called white person. This is what's happening right now. And where did it come from? The same kind of psychology and consciousness that created the eugenics program and evolution. This is why I said it's so important to talk about this shit, because it's the nuts and bolts. And that's why I said it's such a red fucking flag and a tell when somebody like Owen Benjamin says, I can't talk about eugenics. He literally said it. There is a block in their reality. The same way Bob from Globebusters, Jesse Spots, DITRH, Mark Sargent, Patricia, all these other fucking people calling themselves truthers and the flat earth community, they literally cannot speak on these issues. Because that would be chain internal work. That's why I said this is an internal shift. What's happening is that so-called black and brown people, or the indigenous people around the world, we have, that's the only thing we have is our connection to the Most High. Because white people have everything else. The only thing we have is our connection to the non-physical, because the white noise of this reality has created a space where the so-called white people own everything at the expense of the people who still have the connection to the land. And then you have the internet promoting people who don't talk about shit, who never say anything. And then especially the ones who call themselves truthers, who aren't saying anything, they get promoted even more. This is the intention of the internet, the mainstream media, the machine stream consciousness. It's a machine realm to bridge, to de-evolve you back in to just a machine. Transhumanism, simulation theories is the way it's all bringing it back. And whatever is important for you in reference to that realm, that not thinking white noise realm, is part of your own demise, because you don't know where to start. And you're speaking somebody else's language that is used to keep a certain demographic of people down and a certain demographic of people up, both on every single level.